Hola, bienvenidos a una emisión más de Indómito. Estamos en la banda elástica y como siempre tenemos invitados muy especiales. En esta ocasión tenemos a Matt Himes, que además de ser músico, él también es ingeniero de audio, es booker, es programador, ha sido stage manager, es como un personaje que tiene muchas manos, muchas habilidades y que finalmente son las que nos ayudan a que la escena funcione y la escena siempre esté con nuevas cosas que presentar. Así que bienvenido, Matt, a la banda elástica.
Thank you. I'm doing really good today. It's a beautiful day here in LA. Thank you for having me.
Olvidé mencionar que Matt también tiene un programa de radio en la banda elástica, donde presenta música. Pues la vez que yo lo escuché había música muy interesante de Perú y en general de Ecuador también y en general los sonidos alternativos de Latinoamérica, ¿no?
Yeah, I work with Levant, Alaska. I do a radio show with them on Tuesdays. And then booking with like the Levitt Pavilion. Yeah, I mean, a lot of work that I do is work with música latina. I have a lot of special interests. My wife's family's from Peru. So I have a lot of special interests with that. My father, Masero, he's a very passionate cajon player. He's from a very music family that plays a lot of Festejo and Mondo. So I just kind of like fell in love with that 15 years ago or something, and kind of just exploded from there. But I've always been into like rock and punk, soul, and just kind of I feel lucky to be able to explore like all kinds of music especially coming out of Latin diaspora. There's just so much undiscovered talent, and something to kind of like shed light to that and provide platform for that here.
Me gustaría empezar un poco presentándote en el sentido de cómo fue que llegaste. Bueno, tú iniciaste como músico, pero en algún momento decidiste probar también como ingeniero de audio y un poco eso te llevó a lo que es hacer booking y hacer programación. Pero platícanos un poco tu historia personal de cómo fue esta evolución entre estos distintos roles dentro de la industria musical.
Well, I started out. I mean, I'm still a musician, although
Yeah.
I still don't have maybe as much time as I would like to dedicate towards making my own music anymore. But no, I mean, I started when I was a teenager, playing in different like, punk bands. Really into shoegaze when I was younger. A lot of like psychedelic rock. I kind of started out like in high school, being in my own band, and then just kind of because I would play in like I guess like really loud bands. I would have to like bring my own PA and stuff and like figure it out. So when I was like 16, 17, I just bought my own PA and started figuring out how to do sound from there and kind of fell in love with it. And having to produce my own events, being a musician yourself, you end up having to, wear so many different hats, being a manager, being graphics, like I know a lot of musicians know this. So I just kind of dived into it myself, and other people I guess took notice and just started asking me to do it, and asking me to sound for them, and running their event in LA. And some of those bands I would work with, like they got more success, and I'd be able to go on tour with them, and pick up the skills being a tour manager and kind of how sound and kind of wrangling bands and making sure they get on stage on time and make sure they don't drink too much or like wait till afterwards and stuff like that. And then from there, here in LA, I kind of hooked up with a couple different collectives. Family was one of them. They're kind of a bike collective here in Los Angeles, like 300 or 400 kids riding bikes around town, and 20 different events. Working with a lot of like DIY scenes in the downtown district. We do a lot of like warehouse after hours parties. Do a lot of like punk rock. So do a lot of like working a lot of raves. Like back when kind of get away more with that here in LA. Not so much anymore, but yeah, a lot of the electronic music scene. And then from there, I kind of started working with nonprofits and working with the city. It was kind of a funny shift where beforehand I was doing warehouse parties in downtown and like getting in trouble with the police and with the city, because we weren't always permitted. And then going from there and like having the city hire me to do their events because I knew I figured out how to like work the inner workings of the city and working with like the fire marshal and the traffic control and all that kind of city officials. Got opportunities to just like do the Rock Music Festival. for a number of years. That was like a one-day festival shut down like half a mile of the street of the city, and you had like 60 different bands. With Night on Broadway. He worked for Spaceland Productions. Like I did the Spaceland Productions to produce their events and like them. And then through them, like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, got involved with the Levitt Pavilion and hired to rent and produce their events, and also like book bands and production managing and running the sound for it. But all at the same time, also still doing sound for a lot of bands. Through my bookings, also hooking up with a bunch of different bands, and like they knew I could do sound as well, and continuing to do that as well. So I try to keep myself busy, but I still feel very like blessed and lucky that I get a lot of opportunities, and I don't want to opportunity sometimes. So I can almost never say no. I'm very blessed and lucky to be able to work in music. It's I don't know, it's a dream, honestly.
Sí, es un verdadero sueño y eso que dices es importante. Nunca le dices que no a nada. Siempre estás activo, siempre estás en movimiento. Y te preguntarían, ¿cómo ha sido para ti entonces la pandemia o el shutdown de COVID? Porque se detuvo pues todas las actividades que te involucran a ti y a todos los músicos. De repente se detuvieron. Entonces, ¿cómo ha sido ese proceso, este año de aprendizaje, de reinventarse para ti? ¿Cómo lo has vivido personalmente?
Well, yeah, I mean, COVID, it's affected, myself and a lot of people. It hasn't been easy, definitely. It's hard to say that. I mean, unfortunately, like with the Levitt season last year, we were about like 2 or 3 weeks away from announcing our entire season. We're talking like 150 to 175 artists I had from all over California, the rest of the United States. A lot of bands coming from Mexico, Central America, and South America. But years in the working of trying to coordinate, because especially international bands trying to get their visas and trying to coordinate different dates with them, so that way it's worth it for them to come up here as well. So it was a lot of effort. So it was definitely not. It wasn't the easiest to let that go. It was literally like right about to announce, and so it was just like right about to share that with our community and with the rest of the world. And so to have that taken away was definitely. It was hard, and not just me. I know a lot of musicians where 2020 was going to be a really good year for a lot of people. So it was unfortunate, and how we kind of had to deal with it. When I was younger, I was also doing a lot of film work and a lot of boom sound as well. So I kind of got back into the film industry and working with MTV and a bunch of other people doing their virtual events, and kind of getting back into the film world, and that's becoming it's been there for a while. You see, especially with the video game industry, doing Twitch and the live streaming has been around for a while, but it's now become more in the mainstream of things, where it's so many different artists, bands, labels are investing their time and energy to see how virtual events work. So kind of going back down on that path, and currently just kind of working on the Levitt, how we're doing virtual events. How we're going to be working that out kind of coming up this summer of how to create something different and different access points for people and artists to really present themselves in a different way. It's not just about reinventing myself. It's more like, how do I reinvent myself to provide more platforms for artists? That's really whether it's in person or virtual, that's what it's all about, is creating that connection between an audience and their artist, and being able to have that connection through their music. How as a producer and the back end side of things, how to do that in a way that's feasible for all parties involved, and not only just financially, but how this is going to help alleviate people, because I know things are hard right now. So a lot of people are, even though things are shut down, people still turn to art, they turn to music and movies. That's where people turn to alleviate some of their stress or just give them some hope. So how do we kind of create more access points? And I think it's been hard, but also at the same time, it's created a new life, because with virtual events, you're not just now limited to your regional area of LA, where I am in LA and Southern California, but now being able to virtual events, now being able to reach a larger international audience. You have to be in LA to watch it. I do hear now people in South America and Mexico and Central America and Europe and there's all kinds of different audiences everywhere that we now have not just, as a producer, the artist having access to, and it kind of, it's going along also with, streaming music and Spotify and Apple Music, how it's become like an international thing now. And, kind of the globalization of like music, it's, one door was shut with COVID, but another window was open at the same time, where it's like really, you have new ways to, explore that audience artist connection. And, now it's like, how do we kind of like get through this, it seems to be hopefully one of the last legs of this pandemic, and, how do we kind of get through the last of that together, so that way when we do come back and we can have in-person events again, it seems like maybe with this virtual events, it is maybe like this hybrid of, virtual and in-person events for those who have the capacity to do it. And it has for me, it seems like to have an opportunity to expand our audiences, not just with young people as well. Like there's, a huge digital divide that, we keep talking about. Some people don't have access to the internet, but now it's, with the pandemic, it's created new ways for people to have the get access to the internet. So we even think about how we can, get, into the elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, get into, like old folks' homes and stuff like that, and create like, we're all about accessibility, what I do at the Levitt. So how do we like expand those audiences and more entry points for people to just enjoy music? So it's, that's kind of like where I'm thinking right now, where my headspace has been, and I've been doing my efforts. And it's just amplified it and created new, different avenues to go down. And now, with the pandemic hopefully closing down, and like the next couple of months, hopefully by the fall, we're seeing in-person events again, and kind of a hybrid model of both in-person and virtual. Who knows? There's a lot of technology and a lot of time and a lot of brain power, not just for myself, but I see with a lot of my peers and a lot of good people in the music industry. Like they're doing some really awesome stuff, and we're able to see artists and musicians in a different light we've never had the ability to see before. So it's a scary time and an exciting time all at the same time.
Totalmente de acuerdo. Y lo que mencionas sobre cómo la industria musical ahora podrá presentar tanto conciertos de manera presencial como en línea, ¿no? Sobre todo para la gente joven que a lo mejor no puede salir de su casa, pero va a poder ver estos conciertos en línea. Y bueno, creo que esa es una de las cosas positivas que nos deja la pandemia, ¿no? Y te preguntaré un poco, creo que es bien importante el trabajo que estás haciendo desde que te incorporaste al Levitt, ahí en Los Ángeles, que es pues este festival al aire libre, que justo es como un festival que hace comunidad con la gente que no tiene acceso a festivales pagados, pero ustedes están presentando eventos gratuitos que desgraciadamente el año pasado se tuvo que cancelar, pero este año ya están trabajando, ¿no? Están planeando cómo van a reconectar o reconfigurar el festival, pues para que siga presentando. Entonces me gustaría que hablaras un poco de eso, en qué están ahorita y qué nos espera para el verano, para cómo será el formato, ¿no? del Levitt.
Kind of doing a couple different things this summer. I mean, even though with very recently, with our government, like starting to allow things to open back up, that's been a lot on our mind recently, of how we're going to. So much of our events are focused on like being in person and having that accessibility. So we're trying to kind of do a couple different models. Right now, we actually did one like 2 weeks ago with a food giveaway, so we're providing like pop-up events where it's hard for us to do concerts at our venue right now. Those things are still closed down, but things are kind of opened up a little bit where we can do kind of smaller, very more controlled hybrid events, where like we're working with a lot of community partners on food giveaways, food banks, vaccine sites, or testing sites where we kind of provide music within them. We're doing a few of those this spring. You'll see that coming up in May. So if you check us out on our Instagram, you'll see that coming up. Also, hopefully this summer, we'll be doing some sort of, I guess you could say like a variety show we're kind of like coming up with. It's focused on music and bands. I watched a lot of shows. I did watch a lot of TV when I was a kid, so I'm inspired by things like In Living Color and Soul Train and Sábados y Gigantes. Those shows were like a really cool way to like discover new music back in the day. And so we're kind of trying to find a new hybrid model of doing like this variety show with music and food and art and culture and fashion, to really, tie it all in and tell a really cool story. Not just the music's still like a center point, but what are the other stories we can tell about the music?
Claro.
I think that's like going to be an important thing. How we're going to create new access points for audiences to connect to their favorite artists. Is like not just talk, see them perform, but talk about their favorite food and their fashion and what they've been, favorite clothes they like to wear. Who are their favorite visual artists? What other talents do they have going on? And having deeper connections and conversations with them, and also doing live on the spot interviews and people want the audience members through the chat function on YouTube or Instagram to ask the artist questions and be able to find kind of new and different things. I think that's always been something interesting that I've always found interesting in artists. Yes, I very much enjoy watching them perform and play, but I think we're having a new opportunity with the pandemic to talk to the artists and have them talk about themselves in a way that they may not be able to express to their audiences by just do a variety show and do interviews and talking about food. Keeping it somewhat local to LA, but there's a lot of we're an international city, so there's a lot of people from all over the place. So we're able to have a really good variety of different kinds of music for people. From rock and funk, soul, hip hop, ska. They're reggae. They're always kind of our best hits. And then we're also doing some mobile pop-ups and stuff like that towards the end of the year. And we don't. It's hard right now to say too much or anything, but as far as in-person events at the venue now, we're going over everything we can and everything, and want to make sure that it's as safe as possible for everybody. So when we do open back up, in MacArthur Park, that it's we're going in a responsible, in a way that to our community, so that way we can have people there, but also be safe at the same time. So we're not really doing. We usually do 50 free concerts in the park every summer. We've been doing it since 2017. But this year, we're kind of doing a little bit different and hybrid of events, and then definitely hopefully, COVID willing and everything in 2022, we'll be we're back in the swing of things, doing a concert the following summer.
Es interesante todo lo que dices, porque es esta nueva manera de comunicarse de los artistas para hablar de, como dices, de fashion o de comida o de hasta del equipo que usan. Pues creo que va a ser interesante tanto para la gente, para la audiencia, como para el artista, ¿no? Entonces, qué bueno que estén haciendo eso. Y ahora te preguntaré un poco por la parte de la curaduría, porque supongo que cada año tú eres la persona que tiene que escuchar un montón de música y decidir, tomar las decisiones de quién va a estar en el festival, y debe de ser muy difícil porque ahora hay muchísimas propuestas increíbles de música, pero te preguntaría un poco cuáles son los criterios para ti que definen cada año quién se queda en esta edición y por qué, o sea, cuáles son las cosas que te hacen voltear a ver a un artista, ¿no? Para que se quede.
So as far as the curation and how I kind of go about that, I mean, it's I love it. LA, we're all about trying to best represent not only just Los Angeles as a city, but all the different communities that are coming together. It's kind of it's kind of a blessing to be in a city the way we are, and having so many different communities and cultures kind of colliding together. And so I think that's the first thing at the top of my mind, whenever I'm curating and working with different families. Is this what LA is going to want to see? Is this going to represent who's here in LA? And there's so many different cultures and so many different people going on. So how do we kind of have a nice mix of a little bit of everything? I mean, every year we talk to West Norte and Amita and Don Diaz, they're here every single year. The Oaxacan community, the Salvadorian community, Guatemalan. Even every year we even do we work with the Mayan community. There's a huge Mayan diaspora it's right outside of MacArthur Park. So I mean that's kind of the first thing that I consider is how do we best represent all the different communities of LA. And what I do is I kind of actually work with different curators that work with Festival Chapin. They do a huge Guatemalan festival at the end of August every year. But so I work with them and how to best bring some of the best artists, or artists that they want to see represent coming from the Guatemalan community. People, talk to you banda, Zappa FMNA, talking to them, Rocio, Ladame, working with the native North American indigenous community, people like Redbone, a Tribe Called Red. They're kind of bands that are doing something different now. Like they're able to take like the traditional music, but then also mash it together with like contemporary music and kind of do something completely new and different. Yeah, a lot of the ska is like huge. I work with La Resistencia, they're kind of like a local ska band that like kind of about like president. They always bring like 2,000-3,000 people. So working with them and then experiencia and South Central Spankers and Gabriel Finca, with people like Nico Soul. Yeah, so we kind of like, I run the gamut of a little bit of here and there, work with a little bit of Motown Records, trying, working with them. I worked with people like La Junta and Sexuela. They've got people like Tomasa de Real and Miss Nina on board. So, kind of working down, like, those are kind of like the bands that I'm working with right now.
Para terminar la entrevista, me gustaría que no sé si se puede ya dar algún avance de la gente de los artistas que quizá podamos ver, o a lo mejor es demasiado pronto para decir, o ya se puede dar algún nombre por ahí.
I know Saul Williams, they're definitely confirmed. Yeah, let's see, who else do I have? It's a little too early, like, if you want to be like honest, like, because I definitely, started kind of in the mix of like booking everyone. Let's see, Ross Michael and the Sons and Daughters of Mingus. Hopefully, Selena Mouse is another one that we're talking to as well. Like, they're a local Selena cover band. Talking to Amanda Tipica, so these are kind of like some of the people that we're talking to right now. But yeah, things are still kind of a little bit up in the air, there's one thing with COVID and everything, it's a little bit of a wild west out here with how, working things out, and making it the best situation we can for the artists and how we can make it best comfortable for them. And, but also, have a good, interesting show for the audiences to watch.
Y todo dependerá de qué tan rápido avance la cosa de las vacunas para que pronto haya conciertos en vivo. Y bueno, ya vimos que en España hubo, no sé si viste la noticia de que hubo un concierto ya en vivo con 5,000 personas, una banda de España que se llama Love Lesbian, que en una hora vendieron todos los boletos. Entonces, pues eso nos da como una esperanza, ¿no? De que pronto quizás se reactive todo en Estados Unidos y en México y en el mundo, ¿no? ¿Tú crees que sea posible pronto, como tú que estás dentro de la industria?
I think if we keep going the way that things are going, things just seem pretty positive right now. Here in LA, in California, just announced like April 15th is when people are going to everyone over the age of 16 can get vaccinated. So that does give me a lot of hope that, things are going to be able to open on up. Hopefully we do it in a smart way that is still safe for everybody. I can't necessarily say for sure myself, but I do have a lot of hope that like very soon that in-person events, maybe on a smaller scale, but slowly but surely we're going to start seeing like, events coming on out. I mean, we're starting to see announcements for July, August, September, for some concerts. And so, that's why we're trying to make our best concerted effort to see how we can do in-person events ourselves this year. Or, in some sort of hybrid way. But yeah, I see what's going on in Spain and everything like that. Like my brother-in-law, he lives in Valencia. So, I mean, we talk about it and, it gives me a lot of hope because, Europe seems to be like 2 months ahead of us and everything like that. So like they're moving forward, things are going up and down with them. But, if we can keep on track with how the way everyone's getting vaccinated and, continue to stay safe, we're not still through it yet, but, if we can kind of get through these next few couple of months, I have a lot of hope for the summer that we're going to see it again. And I think, people are starved, I think once we're able to once we're over this, people are definitely going to go out like in flush. I think, we're going to see kind of like this renaissance in live music again because people are so starved for it again. Like I definitely miss it. When I'm not working, I'm going to try to go to as many shows as I possibly can again because I think we all have a lot of lost time to make up for.
Yo también coincido contigo, también es lo que más extraño y también siempre que puedo busco música en vivo, entonces pues guardemos la esperanza y pues nada, ¿algo más que quieras agregar?
Yeah, no, I mean, I got my radio show every Tuesday with them at 8 p.m. So, here at Pacific Standard Time, check that out. But they also have, Ox Files and Especial and like all kinds of other shows. So, I mean, I love the Elastica family. I'm so happy and blessed, and it's just an honor to be involved with great people who just, they love music and just put their whole lives into it. It's like almost like a lifestyle of like they just live, breathe music and art and culture, and just want to, provide a platform for artists and for people to continue to enjoy art. So I can't thank them, enough.
Pues ya lo saben, no se pierdan el programa de Matt y pues nada, fue un gusto conocerte. Espero conocerte algún día en persona, Matt, y pues muchas gracias por estar aquí en la Banda Elástica. Te mando un fuerte abrazo, un gustazo hablar contigo.
Right now, like I said, there's a lot of lost time and opportunities that we have to make up for. So, as soon as we can, I can't wait. There's definitely a lot of traveling, a lot of music, and lots of hugs and lots of eating with people. Like I can't wait.